Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with a short lunchtime live. I thought I'd jump on while everyone was on their lunch breaks and just have a chat because there's never ever a dull moment at Aston Villa at the minute. There's going to be a bit of talk about the news that's potentially leaked about off the pitch issues. Obviously, the Diego Carlos injury, which came about yesterday, and then a potential transfer link that we could we could do with him on Saturday. Yeah, to be honest, if it is true. So. Before we get into it, though, hit the like button, please, everyone who has already joined. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. This is kind of a newish show that we're just bringing out the last couple of weeks, really, probably 2 or 3 a week, a bit of a lunchtime show, rounding up the news, getting your comments in while you're on your lunch breaks, and yeah, just to kind of see if we can. There's no better time to talk Villa at all. So yeah, do support this show and the channel. Who is in the chat already? Kate and Phil up the Villa, PJJ in the house as well. Hello, mate. Great to have you in. So yeah, let's have a little chat about this letter that was allegedly, before I have to say, if true, it's been linked. It was leaked on Twitter this morning. I was just, having a little look on Twitter, just taking my son to school and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, had a little look on Twitter, and then all of a sudden saw this new Twitter account that was created called AVFC Staff with a 4-page letter. Wasn't the best in terms of grammar, wasn't the best in terms of layout, but I mean, tagging lots of the Villa Twitter pages, like the Villa Twitter pages in, and yeah, reading it is quite shocking, to be fair. As I say, I have to say, if true, it doesn't look great, and we've had a lot of discussion on this channel, and there has been discussion across many channels about Chris Heck and some of the decisions that he's made. Some good in terms of trying to bring money into the club, trying to increase our profile, but also there's tended to be an underlying issue of, I guess, not really listening to other supporters, not necessarily listening to fan groups. That the obviously the advisory board had expressed concerns around the badge and the consultation around the badge and that changing. There'd obviously been a change of mind about the ground expansion, and I guess Villa fans kind of swallowed that up with the fact of would if we were to qualify for Champions League football, would having a reduced capacity help in that manner. So there was a few things that was kind of been swallowed by fans and thought, well, actually, yeah, that does kind of make sense. It would have been nice to maybe had a little bit more information. Other fans have said, well, no, he's been put into a job, he's in charge of what he should be doing, so let him get on with it. Then obviously we've had the lower grounds, we've had the terrace view, and potentially ideas put by previous CEOs, but still implemented in the way that they have been, which haven't really gone down well. I guess people have kind of accepted it for now, and if they've been given a ticket in those areas, they've kind of thought, well, it's not too bad. But there's always been an underlying issue of, I guess, not really taking the fan who goes to the game into consideration. Uh, Now this letter's come out around, potential mistreatment of staff, not being not saying at all, treating people well, kind of dressing down in front of other staff members, changing of roles in front of other staff members. And like I say, if true, I have to say this is just a letter that's been leaked. It doesn't look great. Doesn't look great at all. And while we've got things going right on the pitch at the moment, yes, we're on a little bit of a dodgy run. The whole club has to be pushing in the same direction. And also, one of my slight concerns as well is the last 2 or 3 years, the women's team has been really pushed and really backed and really kind of been made to feel a huge part of the club. And I said right at the start of this season, I felt like it had been maybe pushed a little bit to one side, and the news around the women's team hasn't been as readily available as the full club, and maybe that's something to do with kind of the disconnect between the kind of full club feel and what's needed to generate money for the first team. And yeah, you've got to make sure everything's pulling in the right direction, and anything that's kind of diverting from that path will in the end translate to on-field issues, because fans can get disgruntled. People don't want to go to the game. People want to see, they're paying a lot of money, they want entertainment straight away. If that doesn't happen, they get more and more disgruntled. So it translates to the players. They feel the pressure, and then it kind of all spirals out of control. So you've got to make sure everything is pulling in the right direction. And as I say, I really want to reiterate that, if true, on these allegations and some of the stories that have come out regarding treatment of staff, like I say, are having arguments with staff in front of other staff, things like not being involved with on FA boards, and not speaking to them around the Euro 2028, and just kind of ignoring them. And yeah, real concerns around just not consulting any staff when any decisions are made, let alone consulting supporters. So yeah, it just doesn't seem good. You guys in the comments, let me know if you haven't had a chance to have a look. I mean, it's already generated 100,000 views on Twitter since this morning. Lots of people saying, take it with a pinch of salt. These are kind of rumors, but also there's other people saying, that it's kind of confirming things that they might have heard. People that work through the club, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's I guess it's just going to divide opinion. What I would say is it's never good at all to have this type of stuff, whether it is made up, whether it is there is some truth in it, or whatever. It's never good to have this kind of dirty laundry aired in public, and it doesn't bode well with where we want to go and what we want to achieve with Villa this season. So yeah, it's really interesting. Michael says the Aston Villa soap opera is something of a writer's dream. Absolutely. Michelle says up the Villa. Lee says I've not seen it. What's this about? Yeah, have a look on Twitter, Matt. I don't want to post anything on here and show anything on here, but yeah, have a look. Yeah, the women's team situation has been concerning. Yeah, and if possible, yeah, well, I think we'll do a bit more of a feature on it on the next fans forum. To be honest, I know they've got Tottenham this weekend, and then so after that game, I think we'll do a bit more of a feature on them. But I've just, like I say, the signings that they've made seem to have been a little bit rushed. Just the coverage that they've been getting, like for me, you thought about it last, whether that's just to do with on the pitch as well. They haven't been quite as good on the pitch as they were last season, but just doesn't seem to have the same kind of, I guess, coverage for when the games are happening. Getting fans to go and watch that kind of stuff. So yeah, just that whole, I think a lot of focus for whatever reason. Obviously, Unai Emery's in full charge of the first team affairs, full charge of like kind of what goes on with the youth team and everything like that. There's obviously been a lot of focus put onto Real Union and buying out other clubs and stuff. It's just interesting to see if the women's team wanted to push into those potential Champions League spots. That doesn't seem to be happening, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens next season, whether they go at it again, because you've got to keep going with everything. And if they were getting 10,000s and stuff last season, 10, 12,000 last season, you'd have thought that would have increased this season, and that revenue would generate for the club. At the moment, it just seems to be dropping. Lee doesn't do Twitter as an old fogey. Yeah, like I say, it's a letter that's been leaked from an alleged staff group or staff member, expressing concerns about the management, from Chris Heck and Ben. Ben Hatton. So they're the chief operations officer and the CEO. Yeah, just some real concerns. And again, there are allegations. It's been leaked. There's no kind of proof of any of this is true, but just around kind of conduct. Speaking to other staff in a real derogatory manner, changing of people's roles, without consultation, not speaking with the FA on matters surrounding Euro 2028. Obviously, the lack of communication to fans and the fan advisory board around the badge, allegedly having it designed before that consultation. So lots of things that maybe are being done around that. But yeah, like I say, it just seems to be a never-ending soap opera at Villa at the minute, and that doesn't do anything to quell the rumor mill that are going on. And as I say, it just doesn't bode well for on pitch an on pitch harmony that we need. We need the fans together with the players, because as Bloom said, we've got to look ahead to Fulham, and these next three games that are all winnable before the big game against Tottenham. And if we can go through those three games with 9 points, we need everyone pointing in the same direction. We don't need kind of things being aired out in public, whether they be true or not, and that's the point. But yeah, on the pitch. Obviously, the news broke yesterday about Diego Carlos. And why does it always happen when you get in a bad injury, another one potentially follows, and in a position where you're already limited as it is? We've obviously had Pau Torres, who's been on the bench the last couple of games. Hasn't featured really, but it's now potentially time for him to come into the team straight away, almost in out from the cold, from not really having many minutes to warm up. And he's potentially going to partner Clement Longley after Diego Carlos has injured his hamstring in training. We don't know how severe that injury is, but anytime a hamstring, whether it's be slightly less serious, is going to be 2 to 3 weeks at least. So this isn't good. We've obviously already lost Ezri Konsa. We don't fully know the kind of details on his injury. Emery said he was hoped to be 3 to 4 weeks. Other kind of people have said it's more like 6 to 8 weeks. So what are we going to do with centre back? I was talking on the fans forum the other day about potentially playing three centre backs with Longley, Pau, and Carlos. Now it's potentially talking about bringing Callum Chambers back in. Or do you go with two left footers if Pau Torres is actually fit? You can play Longley and Pau Torres. Does that affect the balance of the side with two left-footed centre backs at the back? I think they could probably cope. I think they'd be fine. But then, like I say, your next player in line is Callum Chambers, who hasn't featured a lot at all. I don't necessarily think he's a bad player, but he just hasn't featured a lot. And then you're down to your sixth choice centre back. The AVFC Academy did a little bit of a write up about potential players that could come in from the younger team, and obviously you've got. Lamar Bogard, who could maybe come in, and then there's a few players out on loan. You've got Kerr Smith, who he says is fairly up to scratch. I'm just trying to get his tweet. Just bear with me. So yeah, you got Lamar Bogard, the most natural replacement. He isn't on loan. Brilliant game reading ability, strong dueling qualities, but limited centre back experience. So has played more in that midfield role. Kerr Smith, who is out on loan. In terms of the Academy AVFC Twitter, that would be his preferred option. But he's out on loan, so could maybe bring him back. Josh Feeney is out on loan, maybe not quite physically up to scratch right now. You've got Ben Krazine, who's out on loan, obviously a left back, but could maybe be brought back in for cover. You've got Finley Munro, who was in the squad against Chelsea in the FA Cup, but is more a fullback, but has deputised at centre back as well. And then you've got Thierry Katsukunya, who's not on loan. He's the most senior centre back within the under 21s, who's starting to play well in that side. And then obviously there's injuries to Sil Swincoles and Aaron O'Reilly. So does Emery dip into the academy players to look at options? It's really, really concerning, because what are we talking about? Konsa 3 or 4 weeks. We're talking Diego Carlos 3 to 4 weeks. and we've let Dendonka go. Is it now? It's always hindsight is 2020, isn't it? And we were saying Dendonka needs to go, but then when you don't bring necessarily anybody into those kind of more defensive positions, Kamara's now out for the season, Carlos is out, Conte's out. We've now got Longley, a potential with Pau Torres. Obviously, we'll find out when the press conference is if he's back. But then you've got Callum Chambers, and you're going into the academy, and it does make that top four difficult. But I guess the players just have to rally round, absolutely rally round each other, and try and push on. But yeah, hopefully it's not too serious for Carlos, as I say. But I think Longley and Pau Torres is a fine centre back partnership, not too bad at all. But it's just if something happens to one of those two, I mean, we are in real trouble, real trouble. So yeah, difficult one. And Fulham, obviously Jimenez up front, and they've got a lot of pace as well out wide. So that is going to be a difficult game with kind of a patched up defense. Guys, over 60 people watching, which is just brilliant at this time. If you haven't already, hit the like button. And help us on the road to 4,000 subscribers. If you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. And we tend to get viewers from all over the world at this time as well. So let me know in the chat where you're watching from if you are new as well. Lee says Irug Bonham should be buzzing and working hard in training. Yeah, talked about him the other night. I mean, it's one of those where you think if he's let Dendonka go, and he said Irug Bonham is the man to step up into those positions if needed, then you think Kamara being injured, it's time now for Irug to start. Yes, I know you boys, Albury and Solihull, Michael and Blooms. I know that. Don't. I'm talking about far-flung reaches. We've had Jamaica, we've had Dubai, we've had everywhere. But look, everyone is as valuable as each other wherever they're watching from. So yeah, brilliant stuff. But yeah, Tim Irubanu, he should absolutely be buzzing to play. I don't know. Like I said, we talked about it the other day. With maybe he goes to a 3-5-2. That's probably out the window now. Although, could you play Chambers, Pau Torres, and Longley as a back three? You probably could. But then, or does he drop McGinn back in there? You lose a little bit of John McGinn, but then maybe you can play Tielemans and Ramsey in that more advanced position. You've got probably two slightly different players there. Yeah, going to be interesting to see what he does. And final bit of news, unless in terms of potential transfer, there's been word of. I think we covered him. Covered a little bit of his kind of feature in the January window, or maybe it was the summer. I don't know. But Nacho Fernandez, Real Madrid centre back, who's out of contract at the end of this season. I mean, we could have done with him now, to be honest with you. But apparently, there's a number of European sides looking at him, and he can leave for free in the summer. But Aston Villa are apparently the most interested, and obviously with Monchi and Unai, in there, there's probably connections there with regards to scouting networks and everything. But yeah, apparently we've offered a 2-year deal to him. It's not being answered yet. I'm guessing he's keeping his options open. But just having a look at him here, obviously more experienced player, 34 years of age. So maybe wants a crack at the Premier League. Obviously left-sided predominantly. I've compared him with Clement Longley, so very similar in terms of statistics. Obviously age is a bit older, but has played 16 times this season, started 9 games. Pace of the game is different, obviously with in Spain, but playing at a very high caliber side in terms of Real Madrid. Plays Champions League as well. And yeah, 57 minutes per game, so still playing. 44.9 touches. In terms of passing accuracy, you'd expect that with Real Madrid. 93% per game, 96 in his own half, 86% in the opposition half. But you'd have to look at the type of passes that he's making. 54% in terms of long balls, chip passes 56%. He's contributed to 3 clean sheets, 2.7 ball recoveries per game. I mean, you're probably looking at a player who's got a real good pedigree. Um, I'm sure he wouldn't be first choice at all, but it'd be good to, potentially good to have that type of experience if we were to qualify for Champions League. He's got that experience in the side, so that would be really handy. Um, whether it be Europa League is another matter. But yeah, it's interesting to see us getting linked to one or two players. And I did say the other day, in terms of positions, you're probably looking at centre back, you're probably looking at a striker, a centre forward. You're possibly looking at a physical midfielder as well, and then that depends on who we let go. Do we sell one of the kind of high ticket items to help FFP, to help us strengthen in other areas? So that'll be interesting to see. And on that, would Villa want to get their business done early with free transfers? We've been quite fortunate in that area the last couple of years, obviously with Boubacar Kamara, with Yuri Tielemans, who've both been reasonably big successes. So yeah, you're thinking, do we kind of look at that free transfer out of contract market as well and get the deals done early, and then look at kind of, I guess, selling some of the one or two of the higher priced items. But wherever we end up, we'll kind of wherever we end up will kind of dictate that. PJJ says Nacho is old, but probably still got 3 or 4 years in him. He'll sign and then get injured. Yeah, typical for us. He probably will, mate. I just can't believe these centre back injuries at the moment. I mean, Konsa crashing into the post. I mean, how unlucky can you get? Diego Carlos getting injured in training. Obviously, Tyrone Mings right at the start of the season. Pau Torres just getting injured for a few months as well. It's just constant. One player kind of comes back, and then another one, now two, getting injured, and it just shows you the need to have a big squad. And I know on Sky Sports, David Reed was on talking about, everyone's talking about Newcastle's injuries. Everyone talks about Tottenham's injuries. No one talks about, people talk about Brighton's injuries at the start of the season. No one's talked about Villa's injuries. And that's, I guess, because Unai Emery never really uses it as an excuse. These other managers will cry about it and say, oh, the lads are doing so well with all the injuries that we've got and blah, 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 blah. Emery just takes it in his stride, continues, but when it comes to then us being on a little bit of a dodgy run, no one says, oh, well, let's have a look at it. You've had Tyrone Mings injured for the full season. You had Emi Buendia injured for the full season. You've had to do that. Pau Torres for large chunks. Boubacar Kamara has been missing at times. You've got your backup striker who's out for 10 weeks. You've had Moussa Diaby in and out. You've had Jacob Ramsey in and out. Look at these players that we've had injured, and we've still maintained where we are in the season. So I'm sure he will come up with a tactical plan. I'm sure the players will rally round and make sure that we still kind of have a real competitive and have a real good go at it. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Loads of stuff. Oh yeah, Moreno as well. SLR, yeah, definitely Moreno. Yeah, Emmy has been a big loss as well, and big up to you, mate. Big up to you. Yeah, you look at the options that could have been used. Just off on the bench, that kind of inspiration that it gives to the players that are playing. It's a huge thing. So lots to. It is big credit to the players and what they've done this season. So, they just got to push for that little bit more in the next 2 or 3 months. Just real big push. A couple of players will start to come back, and then we can kind of really see where we finish up this season. Going to leave it there, though, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. We're going to be back tonight at 9 for the full match preview for Fulham, for the Fulham game. Another big game to come. So make sure you tune in for that, 9 p.m. tonight. But yeah, I'm going to go back to work. So thank you all for tuning in. And as always, remember, we'll follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.